all these devices. You can send SMSs to them. You can do all types of things. The company was smart enough that if you go to the marketplace and start downloading apps using their account or whatever, they will bill you. So if you go to the AT&T marketplace or Sprint marketplace and you download a game to see if you want to play it on your own device first, on your device anywhere bill, you actually say you downloaded 3 games and they were $24.95 total. So they will charge you for it. So it's interesting. It's an interesting alternative, right? Again, it's not that any one of these things can be perfect, but a combination of items. What do I personally use these for? I try and keep a decent number of physical devices on hand, but you can't keep everything. So when a company or a customer calls in and says, I'm having a problem with your app on the HTC, blah, 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 I'll log in and see if Device Anywhere has it. And if so, I'll go in there and do some testing with it, okay? So it sounds like some people said Samsung and HTC companies have their own labs now. I haven't had a lot of experience using those yet. I'll have to look into those. I don't know if they control or how much functionality they give you. LG and Samsung, okay, I'll have to look into that and see how their labs compare to this. Do they give you the same level of control and all, right? Do they have cell signals set up? Do all those types of things? So, and you can't test anything, but at least in this case, you are functionally testing on a real physical device. Okay.
So, debugging.
What's that?
Use it for debugging.
Yes, use it for debugging, mostly functional stuff and all on different hardware. You could choose to use this as your primary device to test on, but it would probably get very costly very quick, right? The good news is you're not paying for the service plan, also you got to weigh that out. We buy some physical device, so it's kind of like balancing act between what you want to get. It's a good additional resource to have. I like it because there's so many different devices in there, and although I didn't show it, they also have. When I click the X here, it's going to ask me if I want to release the device. Now that I've released it, it's locked. What should happen is this will change to a little broom, meaning they're cleaning it up, and then there's the broom, they're cleaning it up, and then a few minutes later it'll go back to green. And again, I showed you the Android package, but if you are developing on any other ones, there's iOS package. They actually have multiple package algorithms. They can sort by vendor, they can sort by provider. So here's all the international tablets. There's an iPad one. So here's all the different iPads I got, BlackBerry Playbooks, Dell Streaks. They have quite a bit. Okay, Amazon Kindle Fire. If there's known issues, you can click on it. It'll tell you about it. There's a way to report issues. It might say, hey, this device currently doesn't have cell connectivity. You're limited to Wi-Fi. Okay, that's fine for me to test. Okay, and they do a lot of updates on their app. When I first started using it about a year and a half ago, when I was visiting this office, we couldn't use the application. It was just too slow. But then they've added performance enhancements, easier way to do swipes. So you saw it was pretty responsive to what I was doing there. So it's good for those type of functional testing and all. Okay. Any questions on Device Anywhere? Anything else anyone want to see before I exit out of this?
From Eclipse, how do you install the application on this?
You're going to have to do, there's multiple ways from within window. One way you can do upload app and just browse to the APK. So you have to have an APK format. Yes, it has to be compiled in APK format. Yeah, you can't, there's no, there is some sort of way where you can bridge the device to your PC. But I don't know if it would work with Eclipse or not, or with the Android tools for doing it. I'm not sure. Most of the time, I think it's designed more for a compiled app to be tested. So like I said, I would usually just put in a Dropbox link and go download it, or I'll use their upload mechanism. I know there are options there for like creating tunnels to your PC and all for stuff, but I've never tried it. There is a file sync, yes. But I think what he's saying is for being able to actually, almost if you have a device plugged in your PC and compile the app straight on the device and run it from the code and like step through it and all. Not sure if you can do that. I've never tried that. Again, I don't do more of the development. I do more of the testing once it's built. But there may be ways of doing that in there. Okay.
Oh, that's not possible.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there are options in there for setting up tunnels and all and doing some things. I've only ever like vaguely touched them. I've never tried it to the level you've asked. But I'm sure there's documentation if you wanted to look at that. Okay. Let's go back to the slideshow. Okay, so we've talked about that. Save money without buying your own devices to test with. Just make sure you understand, the cost, benefits, and whatever. A lot of times, devices can be extremely expensive. In the U.S., you can get subsidies where you can get a device for $200, but you have to sign a 2 or 3 year contract. So still, you're tied to a contract for 3 years, right? If devices were cheaper, these guys wouldn't, be probably in business. Okay, we did the brief demo. Okay, so other things. Let's talk about automation. I mentioned this earlier, automation is still in its infancy. There are tools out there that you can evaluate. I've used a few, I've tried a few. We haven't settled on any particular one tool yet that we like, because we're looking for cross-platform automation solutions. The last time I've done an in-depth evaluation was about 6 months ago, although I'm told there's been some new players in the field, so I need to do a new evaluation. The built-in security of mobile applications limits capabilities in cross-app testing. What I mean by this is, if your application is self-contained and everything it does is within itself, then there are various tools available. Like there's a lot of screen scraper type applications and all you can use that will probably work fine for your application. If your application is one that runs in the background or needs to interact with the phone, like if your application is one that needs to talk to the dialer, right, or your application is one that needs to look at the Google settings and change settings on the phone and all, that's very difficult on an Android device. There are automation solutions available that I've evaluated where you can compile in your application a library that allows the automation dev tools to actually go in and interact with your app. But the moment I ask the guys, well, I need to interact with the OS as well. I need to open up Facebook and send a Facebook message because my app notifies me when I do that. I need to go into settings and turn roaming on and off so that it reports whether it's roaming correctly. That's when you get into some tough areas, because all mobile platforms, cross-application communication is highly, highly controlled, right, within the OS itself. The solution to that was to either use the emulator, because the emulators have less of those security concerns, or to test on physical devices to use modified ROMs. Which now we're getting into the whole custom ROM element of Android. And if you're testing your application only on custom ROMs, are you really testing on what your customers are using? Right? So you need to be careful of balancing that impact. So there are options out there, more are coming. You can evaluate. The ones I've seen are extremely costly. Even Device Anywhere, they offer an automation option, okay? But you have to essentially get dedicated devices. So you saw how the devices I was sharing and I couldn't get the ones that were locked. You have to pay dedicated devices from them. And if you thought it seemed like high when I said $12, $13 an hour, automation, we're talking a lot more. We're talking paying hundreds of dollars per device you reserve per month, plus usage fees and automation fees. So extremely expensive, cost prohibitive to most people. But some of those companies do offer solutions for that. I've seen some that we're going to offer shared automation solutions. But again, when you're doing an automation, you really need full control of the device, right? If other people are messing with it all, it could impact your automation capability. So know that the virtual device companies are trying to do automation offers or offer something. I haven't personally demoed really many of them. There are third-party options as well. Some are just in the marketplace. Some are available third-party on the internet. You can do some research. I think we're probably about 6 months away from having some really good automation options. But just keep up to date on it. The last option, or next option I want to mention, is something called community testing, crowd testing. Have you guys heard of that? Yeah. So crowd testing can be used as well. There are companies online where you can submit your app and they'll go out and have people install it and give you feedback on what works and what doesn't, right? You get various levels. I've tried one or two. I've gotten some feedback. I haven't been particularly overly happy with any of them, but I am continuing to evaluate other ones to see, who's good, what they offer. So basically, community crowd testing, you're getting groups of people out in the field who have devices, who are going to install your app and follow some basic guidelines you say and provide feedback. It can be a helpful choice, especially if you're a smaller development house or a QA team.
Anything worth mentioning? Any site?
To be honest, I don't have any offhand that I can recommend. I have a new one I'm evaluating now, but I wouldn't mention it without first evaluating it. I've tried one before. I even did a project for one of them as a crowd tester to see what it was like. And they basically would pay you $5 for each test you did for the company. It literally took me 3 hours to do the test it wanted. So for that company, I was like $5. It depends, right?
These are not free services. You have to pay for it.
Oh, generally you have to pay. Now there could be some free services maybe, but generally if you want some sort of control or whatever, they're paid services. Yeah, you're paying them to have them give your device out and get feedback and whatever.
So
But
you get back feedback, you get your logs, it doesn't matter.
yeah, it depends on the application and what directions you give and whatever. How good is the feedback? Like I said, I've had mixed results. So just know it's an option to look into.
There's a company called contd Test. I think it's an Indian
Yes.
company.
They're one of the ones I have on my list to evaluate, yes. There's also groups such as Weekend Testers, right? Who you may be able to ask, hey, would you guys do one to test my app? They are free, right? Those are people who are passionate about testing. Yeah, yes. One of our team members who worked for our company actually was a co-founder. He's a co-founder of Weekend. He's a co-founder of Weekend Testers, which are guys who get together on weekends and test applications, just to, expand their knowledge and give feedback and stuff, right? So, hey, contact guys like that, see, what kind of stuff they'd be available to help with or whatever.